Caleb Williams and Pete Crow-Armstrong showing up at the Hawks game. Caleb in a Connor Bedard jersey, PCA in a Connor Murphy jersey. We saw Connor Bedard come to the game the other day in a Caleb Williams jersey.
Yeah.
It's just really cool to see these three Chicago superstars in each other's corner and supporting each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun when you have a city of these young athletes that have all kind of been tasked with like, hey, like you're the next kind of big thing with this organization, and three historic organizations in the city. To see all of them kind of supporting each other and being actively supporting at the games, because it's one thing to be like, oh, you know, hey Caleb, come to the Hawks game, we got a suite for you, no one will bother you, we'll put you up on the video board once and then you can just kind of hang out with your people and
leave
just
when you
be
want.
you know do whatever. That's one thing. To have glass seats, to be there for the entire game, to be shown on the screen a couple of times and not like hide from it.
Right.
And then also after the game, you're in the locker room talking with all the players, you're signing Bedard's jersey and stuff. Like, that's awesome. That's above and beyond the, you know, publicity of being a leading sports figure in a city like Chicago.
Well, I know sometimes too, like as media and fans, we can look for connections that aren't really there. But I think it's
No, never.
never. I think it's a really obvious one when you look at Connor Bedard and you look at Caleb Williams, two guys who had this tag of franchise or generational or whatever you want to throw on it long before they were drafted. Caleb Williams, when he's in high school, is being talked about a future number one pick, a future Heisman winner, and there's a ton of pressure on him. And he put the pressure on himself. He said his goal was always to be the number one pick in the NFL draft, and then he achieves it. Mm-hmm. And he goes to a city that is traditionally horrible at quarterback.
Starved for
and we learn, like, with
a
a little bit of reservations. And then he comes around, and he's like, great, I'm doing this, I'm all in. And he has been nothing but all in since the day he arrived. And then Connor Bedard, same thing. For 3 years, we know Connor Bedard is going to be the first overall pick. And then he has to come to a franchise that is immediately in the footsteps of two legends, Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane. Kane is traded, which irritates a lot of people. So he's got to live up to that. He has to also live up to what they accomplished at his age, which is really hard to do. And I think even he is seeing some backlash from current Hawks fans that are like, hey, he hasn't quite been what's been promised yet. And it's taken Caleb Williams some time to earn the trust of Chicago fans. I think there might still be some people on the fence, but I think with every game that goes by, that lessens and lessens. But I think there's a lot of similarities there between the two, and I do hope that this connection that they do have is genuine and is real, because I do think that they could both kind of help each other navigate the tricky waters of what they've been taxed with. Yeah,
to be able to kind of connect with somebody who's going through a similar life, you know, being in that spotlight and having, you know, the kind of the weight on the shoulders of carrying a team and carrying a franchise back to prominence. Like that's a big thing. That's a big thing to undertake, and not everybody is, you know, Connor Bedard can hang out with, you know, Nick Lardis and Oliver Moore and those guys, but they're not the end all be all of the franchise rebuild.
And
you know,
let's be honest, those guys can walk down Michigan Avenue and be fine.
Yeah.
Where if Caleb and PCA are walking down Michigan Avenue, it's going to be a mob.
People are gonna recognize them.
And Connor.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's those guys being able to kind of have like a little, you know, Chicago sports support group, network of support group is cool to see. And yeah, I do think it's probably a genuine, like, they're actually some sort of buddies and not just doing it for, you know, for the cameras or anything, because you see like they're posting on each other's Instagram stories, and you know, they're sending out, you know, the congratulations and all that stuff. I know the Hawks did the, you know, good luck to the Bears in the postseason. The Hawks, you know, Foligno, Nazar, and Bedard were out at the Cubs playoff game in October. So you know, you can see how all these guys and all these teams can, you know, support each other and show out. And when you have like these teams on the rise, I know Cubs have been risen for a while compared to the Bears and Hawks. But like when you see those guys kind of like ascending at the same time, it really gets you excited. And I mean, you think about, back in the 90s when, you hear stories from Chris Chelios and Jeremy Roenick about hanging out with Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman and, partying with them and going golfing with them. And we hope these guys could get to a point like that to where, in 30 years we're talking about, Caleb and Bedard and whatever, like going to Topgolf or something.
Yeah.
Whatever the kids do.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just being able to, have that kind of connection. And I mean, you see how the city rallies around anybody that brings some success to the team. When it's those types of guys, when it's the quarterback of the Bears and the star center of the Hawks, like the star outfielder for the Cubs, like it means something.
Well, and look, Caleb Williams had every excuse in the world to go disappear for a couple months, and
he could have
had
been
a long
Cancun.
season, had a tough end. Like he could have been gone.
He stayed here.
Decided to stay in town. Decided to show up at the Hawks game, and I think PCA is on a different level than Bedard and Williams, where there's not quite as much pressure on him to be great, but he has chosen to be that dude for the Cubs. Who, look, before this week, he's been all over the place. He's everywhere. He's always available. Great quote. Like PCA has sort of taken it upon himself. I think you'd probably say between him and Ian Happ to become the face of the Cubs. And it's something I think ball players specifically are a little more, I don't know, probably just because of the grind of the season. They don't have the opportunity to be out as much as guys from the other sports, but they are kind of more traditionally low key and they keep to themselves. But it's great to see PCA being as extroverted as he is. And he almost feels like maybe like the catalyst for all of it. Like, hey, let's get together. Like, let's do this sort of a thing. And I think it's so beneficial for these guys, not only from like, oh, this is cool, these guys are hanging out thing, but you think about like from a mental health standpoint, like, man, we just got knocked out of the playoffs. I threw a pick that ended the game and I am feeling it right now. And he's got a support group of guys saying, yeah, you know what? I just got back from a dislocated shoulder and just haven't been myself, and it's been rough. And like, I feel like they were winning without me, and now I'm back, and we've lost a bunch. And like, you can have that sort of. It's hard. I think it would be hard for Connor Bedard to go talk to a non-athlete or even like a non-superstar athlete and be like, relate to me. Right. It's almost impossible.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like, what 20-year-old has gone through what Connor Bedard has gone through? Not in a bad way, but just in terms of pressure and spotlight and expectations. Yeah. Even Jonathan Taves said it on Monday. Like, you don't compare what I did to what Connor Bedard did. There's no comparison. Mm-hmm. I remember Jonathan Taves' rookie year, just like 2 or 3 months into his rookie year, I went into Chipotle on Michigan Avenue, and he was just in there, like by himself, and he won Rookie of the Week. I'm like, hey, congrats on Rookie of the Week. And he said, you know about that? I was like, yeah, I do know about that. Like, it's totally different. Yeah. And he came out, and it was good right away and all that stuff. But, like, the level of expectation on Bedard, Taves was nowhere close to that.
Yeah.
Because what happened was Taves and Kane arrived, and then it's like, oh, look at these guys. Whereas Bedard came here, and everyone's like, okay, we've heard the hype. Show me.
Right. With a fraction of the help.
Yes, exactly.
If any.
Yes.
Fraction of the help. Yeah. I think just seeing these guys be able to hang out, reach out, and you see, like I said, like the rallying that the city does around them. Caleb could have gotten booed. If this was Philly, he's probably getting booed or something like that when they show him on the screen. But he gets a rousing ovation, and
huge ovation.
If you had been seeing the Hawks games the last couple of weeks as the Bears have been in the playoffs, like you're getting Green Bay sucks chants has replaced Detroit sucks chants for the time being,
and Caleb participating in the chants.
Yeah, like you see that rallying, and I feel like Bedard's getting to that point where people are starting to rally more around him as this season has gone on for sure. And yeah, like Pete Crow-Armstrong, like he is a man about town in Chicago, just popping up at everything. But I mean, that's part of that's a little bit of like that like that's part of the gig when it comes to being like a professional athlete at that level. Like you're going to be asked to do a little bit more, like to be a face and around and in the community and stuff. And part of that is, you know, showing up for the other guys and in town. And some guys might just do it because it's a, you know, check it off the box of like the obligations. And some guys probably genuinely want to be around and get to know these other athletes in town. And it seems like from what we've been able to kind of see and hear from those guys, it seems like they genuinely like enjoy hanging out.
It's great. And hopefully it means Chicago sports are on the rise again. Chicago sports are cool again.
Feels like it.
And back in the national spotlight. And, you know, the Bears and the Cubs being great helps that big time. And look, when the Hawks are good, the NHL is happy. And it does the league well. So let's hope that all three of these teams, and eventually the Jerry Reinsdorf teams, happy to join in. We're happy to have you whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Get
Rock Chalowski.
Get Rock Chalowski and Modest. Get their phone numbers to Caleb and get them hanging out next time.
There you go.